10 minutes. Minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. T-minus for minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Well, I just got to say, how about that? Oh, we got a good one for you today. We really do. As every day is good, but Mitchell Scruffy Blair will join us in seconds. And despite that, we're going to have a great hockey discussion with Bob Wilkie coming up in hour 2. NHL WHL alum. And he's featured in the documentary Sideways, chronicling the Swift Current Broncos bus crash from 40 years ago. He was a survivor of it, Bob Wilkie, and he's going to join us to talk hockey, Olympics, NHL, tell a little bit of his story and trauma recovery. And here we go. Speaking of trauma, Scruffy's here. What do you got for me today? Hey, how are you? You got your not wearing Seahawks stuff today? That was quick.
No, I've got it. I'm just not wearing it today. So
okay. You ready to have fun and talk?
I don't have to wear my Seahawks jacket. So
okay, I got it. Let's get down to business. I got so much I don't want to waste time. Let's quit Mickey Mousing. Scruffy, the Olympics are on apparently. Somebody told me, with football behind us, and the two superpowers of women's hockey square off today in a group stage game at the Milan Cortina Olympics. Defending champion Canada plays a 3-0 USA in what is expected to be a preview of the gold medal game. Now, I'm very careful of this because with replays and subsequent viewings, the game will be over by the time a lot of people are watching this. I don't want to belabor it too much, but I'm pretty geeked up to watch it. How about you?
Yeah, when it's Canada and the U.S., this might be, Rod, the best rivalry in all of sports. The Canada-U.S. women's hockey. I expect it to be the gold medal game, as you just said. Canadians should probably enjoy this game today because, according to the leader of the country that you live in, China's going to take hockey away from us very soon. Mm-hmm. But today's game, it doesn't matter who wins, who loses. What matters comes up in a few days when it's the gold medal game. Will I be watching? Yes. Will I be watching as intently as I do when these two nations square off in the gold medal game? No.
Well, okay. So for, it's going to sound bad. I don't mean it to be. For the lack of anything else, I'll be watching, i.e. a Tuesday afternoon. What else? Is Dr. Phil even still on anymore? You know, or Oprah? Like, I'll be watching Canada-USA women's hockey. And here's my point. I'm not anti-women's hockey. I actually was brought down the SO Cup. That's the female Air Canada Cup, right? They invited me down, it was probably about 10 years ago now, to drop the puck when it was played in Regina. And I stood there and watched. I'm like, oh my God, this is really good. The tape-to-tape passes, the skating, it's come a long way from the last time I was paying attention. Now, I don't sit down and watch professional women's hockey league games or that kind of thing because I got the NHL to watch. Up until Sunday, we had the NFL to watch in the wintertime. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying here, I can't name you 3 players from either side, but after today, I will. So I'm looking forward to that because it's a competitive world in terms of our eyeballs. But I'll say this to you. It's an interesting stat today. I would invite you, not that you don't know what you're doing for your sports coverage, but the yahoo.com daily email is very good. I don't know if you've even seen it or know of it. Yeah, it's really, so you see it. Okay, it's like a newsletter every day. And it had in there, did you know the last 3 Olympics, summer and winter, the last 3 all went down in ratings? They had a graph. But they said this year's is way up for ratings. I mean, it's on its way up. You know, it's when it goes far.
Are you talking? Are you talking in Canada or in America?
No, in America. But I mean, the countries aren't that much different when it comes to sports. We have the same time zones. You know, I mean, we have the same networks in both countries.
I guess the only reason I ask you that question is because as I'm talking to you right now, TSN, CBC, Sportsnet all has Olympic coverage on. On NBC, there is not any Olympic coverage on. And here, I'll just use an example of this. Today, the USA is taking on Sweden in the mixed doubles curling gold medal final. Okay? That game will be over by the time NBC gets to it tonight. And NBC will show it. But if you're like me, you lose interest when you know what the end result is going to be beforehand. And in this day and age of social media, you will find out what has happened in this game as soon as it's over. So I just wonder, in Canada, yes, we sit there, we see it, it's live. In the U.S., we don't. So I wonder how much that plays a role into it.
So here's the viewers are really not testing me because I'm having a great day. But this Braden writes in, he's watching on YouTube. He says, women's hockey must be a slow day. And then goes on to say, talking American politics at a hockey podcast is pathetic. Braden, get the hell out. We don't want you. Goodbye. You come in and immediately start dropping crap bombs on our beat it. And then the other one, Scott in Vancouver writes in, he says, CFL expansion, please. Oh my God, you guys. We're talking about something that's actually happening. The Olympics and Canada versus USA this afternoon. It's sad. Let's sit around and talk about something that we've been talking about for 50 years that's never happened. Expansion to the Maritimes. I'm not here for that. So if that's what you came for, I advise you all to leave. Because the second point I have is Super Bowl leftovers. And I got a bunch of points here, Mitch. But number one, with the Bad Bunny thing and European games, they're going to France. Shoot, they're going to Australia. Do you envision a day, honestly, that they're playing, there's teams outside of North America in the National Football? Let's just say Europe.
No.
You don't?
Well, never say never, Rod, but in our lifetime, and hopefully that's a few years down the road, I don't see it happening. I don't think it's on the immediate radar of the NFL.
It would have been a good poll question, but actually, I think our poll question today is great. It is, are you footballed out? And the reaction has been fantastic. It's like 57% no. Like, I get a lot of our audience is football fans. Obviously, that's how you and I built our name in a lot of ways, right? I get that. That's our audience. And there are some that are saying, no, never. UFL's kicking off next. Okay. I told you yesterday, I turned on the radio in the gym and they were talking Super Bowl. I'm like, I'm Super Bowled out. And I was just a little getting back into it in terms of this. I'm like, if they're playing these games all over the world, Brazil, France now, Australia, are we going to put teams there? And that's why I put that to you. But that would have been a good poll question. Do we ever envision a day there are teams outside the continent in the National Football League? Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. But anyways,
I just don't see
902-518-3033 is
it.
the text line. 902-518-3033 is the text line. And we'll be back in a moment. We also welcome the YouTube chat, even from the jerks like Braden, who hopefully is left, but if he's still here, we'll see when we come back right after this on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and
and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Hold on tight, Moose Jaw. Professional bull riding is back. PBR Canada charges into the Temple Garden Center April 25th. See the toughest riders take on the rankest bulls in a night of non-stop, edgier seat action. Whether you're a diehard fan or brand new to PBR, this is one show you don't want to miss. Tickets are on sale now at sastix.ca or at the box office. But don't wait, they'll sell fast. Professional Bull Riding Canada in Moose Jaw.
Proudly presented by Papikassis Developments Limited.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca. Or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
All right, welcome back, everybody. The RP Show continues, and I should tell you that we are brought to you in hour one in part by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Are you stuck for gift ideas? Suds gift cards available online at our location or at Costco. They are the ultimate for anyone who loves a clean ride. Visit sudsregina.com. Asking the viewers, that's the poll question today, are you footballed out? We got some good comments from the audience. Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in. He says, I'm not footballed out, but I'm looking forward to a 3-month break. Carlos in Indiana says, I'm not footballed out, but I'm glad the offseason break is here. There's still plenty of football stuff going on, like the NFL and CFL combines and draft, and before long CFL training camps. I want to go back to something yesterday from David Benefield and Dag Nabbit Mitch. I don't know if you watched that interview, but I went back and watch the clip. I'm like, God, he speaks so well.
Yep.
Not shocking
sure
that
does.
David Benefield was on the CBC and such an eloquent CFL star for years. But I asked him about why the Patriots weren't adjusting in the game to that Seahawks blitz, that they just couldn't stop all game. And he's coaching down in LA right now. And I want your take on this as the Seahawks fan and Benefield's analysis. He goes, once you're into the game, it's really hard to change. And if you add to that, probably, we've been doing this all year getting to the Super Bowl. All of a sudden, we're playing the best team in the NFL. We can't stop this. And they didn't all day. And I relate it to what we do. It's like when the viewers write in and go, your video is buffering. The guest mic isn't working. Your internet's we know. Hey, New England, you can't stop the 6-man blitz. We know. Like if you can all see it, they can see it. It's hard to fix on the fly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Again, with today's modern technology, and guys can get the iPad out and see what's going on, there may be a quick fix there, but you've got to get back into the room to discuss it, and even then, you don't have a lot of time. But I completely understand what David Benefield said yesterday. By the way, when you're talking about football out, Roddy, how can you say that on the day that CFL free agency begins? Have we gotten the 30 or so releases from the various teams about all the guys that we knew about last week?
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have signed Jovan Santos Knox to a 1-year deal. I did see that. Thank you, Darren Cameron. I'm just not going – it's not like it used to be. I get that. I talked to Moose about it this morning. I'm not sitting there hitting refresh. It's just a different time. They've got this out of the way 2 weeks ago. It is what it is. Arlen Bruce checks in and says, he goes, I could never be footballed out with this show, keeping me updated. Vancouver Eric writes in on that question, are you footballed out? He says, I think the football season is the perfect length. It can go away now until the CFL starts up. Well, I'll say it again. That's the NFL wisdom. Like I'm driving to the gym this morning. I got it on WQAM. What's Joe Rose talking about? The draft and the Dolphins' needs. I'm like, I can't. But it's Miami. The Dolphins are a really big deal here. Yeah. But I wanted to mention. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say I completely agree. And you know what it's like here. How many times were you and I doing a sports cage and we're talking about a Western Hockey League game coming up because we're doing the show at the Brandt Center, and some guy phones in, yeah, what are the Riders going to do for a backup quarterback? We don't care.
I know. Those people get to me. Troy in Toronto writes in, he says, I can take football in the veins every day. I can't get enough. I get withdrawal symptoms about 2 weeks after Super Bowl, but then I can see the CFL on the horizon. And I'm not going to bring up UFL here, maybe later in today's show, but I also want to say something to you about this. I wasn't going to identify who it is, but now I thought about it, I'm like, it doesn't matter. Larry Mueller was sending me a bunch of stats. If you want to know who's made the TSN and CBC play-by-play guys and collar guys look really good over the years, it's Larry Mueller, Mark Mueller's dad, the current offensive coordinator for the Rough Riders, and son-in-law of Ron Lancaster. He's this, you know this, right? He was doing analytics before anybody even knew what analytics were. And just to give you an idea, before the Super Bowl, he sent me all these stats that I will just paraphrase for you and say that the Patriots are frauds. If you looked at their record and who they beat, the Patriots were frauds going into that game. And he had the analytical data to prove it.
Were saying.
Well, who's a lot of people? Because I don't listen to a lot of people.
That's what a lot of people. That's why Seattle was after the NFC Championship. That's why Seattle was made to be a 4.5-point favorite, and that line did not move because everybody realized that and had the Rams beaten Seattle in the NFC Championship, they would have been the 4.5-point favorites because everybody knew that the Patriots just did not have a solid schedule. And as a lot of people have said, and this sort of dives off a little bit, but there were a lot of people upset that Drake May did not win the NFL MVP award. Did anybody see what Matthew Stafford did in the games against the Seahawks this year? Against the number one defense in the NFL?
Lit it up.
Because if you still think that Drake May should have been the MVP over Matthew Stafford, I would invite you to go back and watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm getting it. I get it. Okay, well, again, I watched all the coverage. I really did. And I didn't see anybody call the Patriots frauds like the black and white numbers did that Larry Mueller sent me. Sort of like, it didn't really matter because I don't bet anyways, right? Did you put money down on the game?
Oh, what do you think?
You did?
Yes.
Okay. Can I just say one thing before we switch over to something else? Tell me if you think this is cheating and betting. What if you wanted to put a bet down on what color the Gatorade was going to be, and you were watching during the game and you zoomed in and saw that as they were pouring Gatorade, it was yellow during the game? So then you went and made your bet and won. Is that smart or is that cheating?
That's smart.
Okay. Because I know a guy that did that. I don't want to say how much he won. He's probably watching right now, but he was watching what they were drinking during the game and then went and put a bet on it and won. Some people are thinkers and some guys are doers, Scruffy. Doug Sauter, 101. Vancouver Eric says, great point, Scruffy. Ted in Red Deer writes in, he says, the NFC is stronger than the AFC at this point, in my opinion. Ryan in upstate New York writes in, he says, arena football is on the horizon for me. The defending champion Albany Firebirds kick off on April 11th. And that is a bit of the problem in that now it becomes fragmented. Are you into the UFL? Are you into the CFL? Are you into the Arena League? Are you into all of it? Are you into, I don't know. But yeah, John Ohm writes, and he says, one other note, RP, spring training starting for the Blue Jays, going to miss Buck calling their games. I wonder who will replace him. Thoughts? Well, I mean, we'll get to that later. We're handling the topics here. Yeah, it's you don't replace Buck Martinez, so they'll put somebody in the chair. You don't replace Buck. But we talked about it on Monday. Yeah, we talked on Monday, and Scruffy did not shed a tear over that. I got things I'll get to later. I don't feel like talking about Bad Bunny anymore. I don't think you do either, do you?
No. And the numbers showed yesterday that it was the most watched halftime show in the history of the Super Bowl. And I forget what they said the numbers were for the other show, but whatever. We move on.
Let's do that. Well, I do have written here CFL free agency, so I don't mind. This is the Canadian hour of the program, is where on Game Plus television. And just for everybody that know, we talked about the Olympics at the top of the show. We talked about NFL and Super Bowl leftovers. It is CFL free agency today. The only names that I saw, and I had to go to 3downnation.com because it's like the only place that gives the quality coverage that I care about of the league, is McLeod Bethel-Thompson and Dominic Rhymes are like the two biggest names that they had listed as free agents. So it ain't, again, it's like the old gray mare. It ain't what it used to be.
And the fact that many of the big names have already declared their intentions as to where they're going to go.
Right.
As I told you in my column on Saturday, I'm sure that Riders PR person Ariel Zur has already written out the 7 or 8 releases from players that have re-signed, and she's just waiting to say what time do these go out. Because we already know, and the same can be said with PR people across the CFL. Because we had so many announcements last week, which takes away from CFL free agency. Like, this tampering window thing is just a load of you-know-what as far as I'm concerned when it comes to free agency.
Right, but the NFL does it too. The NFL does it. They now have the free...
Because they don't publicly declare that we're going to have a tampering window.
Mm-hmm.
But is there tampering in the NFL? Absolutely there is.
Of course. Of course. Just not everybody makes it as egregious as Ed Hervey did, which is why they had to bring this in. Yeah.
Exactly.
By the way, it's good and it's not good in that we were all on the NFL train until Super Bowl. And I'm going to be jumping on the hockey train, as will Mitch. But now everybody gets into something different because the NFL's behind us, and that sucks. Like, for instance, with the Blue Jays, Troy in Toronto says, thanks for the reminder, John. The fix for football withdrawal is Blue Jays spring training. Shame on me for omitting that. Well, they weren't really top of mind. And John says, by the way, Scruffy's not upset on Buck retiring. He is one tough nut. He's a Cubs fan. That's all I'm going to say. That's why you didn't care for Buck, right? Because you've never really cared for Buck. That's where we disagreed.
Not my cup of tea.
But I loved him. So it is what it is, right? Potato,
potatoes.
You
know what? I will not argue the fact that you know how much I do not like the Toronto Blue Jays. But I will not dispute the fact that what the Toronto Blue Jays have done for baseball in this country and what Buck Martinez has done, and let's not forget Dan Shulman and Jamie Campbell and Hazel May, what they have done for baseball in this country is great because they have more people talking about it.
Well,
but I'm not a Jays fan. I'm a Cubs fan. I'm a baseball fan. I'm excited today that pitchers and catchers are reporting to spring training. But I'm a fan of like the Cubs and all the teams, with the exception of the Houston Astros and the Toronto Blue Jays.
You gotta understand, and I know deep down you do. You live in Canada where there's one team, so you shouldn't be upset that everybody loves that team. I mean, come on. And I will say this about the Blue Jays.
And
I mean,
we're not on our Expos come back, so we can
we're not on our Rogers channel. We're not on our Rogers channel here that owns the Blue Jays, so I don't need to say this like the people that are on Sportsnet and whoever owns TSN now. But what the Blue Jays have with what Mitch just said, that whole package of Jamie Campbell and Shulman and Hazel and all of it, Vladdy and John Schneider, it's a great brand. It's unbelievable what they've done. It's really, really, really good. Okay, 2 minutes until left in this break. Hey, I said we're going to talk hockey. I'm afraid to bring it up here in South Florida. I'm going to ask, even like I'm legit. What would you say if the Sergei Bobrovsky was made available by the Florida Panthers, knowing that he's going to become a free agent in July? So he's a rental, and you know that he's going to come back and sign here anyways. Like, would that be something the Oilers would be interested in?
You're not paying very much for him.
No, why not?
Well, I guess
the best goalie in the world.
On what, right, but if you know he's going back, you're not going to pay a huge price for him. Is
happens
what I'm
all
saying.
The time.
Or any player that's a rental. You're not paying a huge price unless you're going to get that guy under contract.
Do you not think the Oilers would win a Stanley Cup? You put Bob in their net, they're winning the cup.
There's no guarantee, Rod. No guarantee.
It's a hell of a lot better than what they have now. And the reason I say I hesitate to bring it up.
You can say that with some other teams too. Let's put Sergei Bobrovsky in Montreal.
Well, I just said
Detroit. Let's put him on Toronto.
I just said the Oilers because it's your team.
I know.
And they just lost to Bob twice.
Yep.
So we kind of cracked the nut on this, and I know that there will be some people that will have some thoughts on this. So we'll talk about that and more when we come back. 902-518-3033. The text line is alive. Ted in Red Deer writes, and he says, I'd say Sergei would look great in Montreal for a year rental. See why I'm afraid to bring it up here? Because they'll burn me down, Panthers fans. That's how beloved Sergei Bobrovsky is. He's going to be a free agent. I would trade him. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Hold on tight, Moose Jaw. Professional bull riding is back. PBR Canada charges into the Temple Garden Center April 25th. See the toughest riders take on the rankest bulls in a night of non-stop, edgier seat action. Whether you're a diehard fan or brand new to PBR, this is one show you don't want to miss. Tickets are on sale now at sastix.ca or at the box office. But don't wait, they'll sell fast. Professional Bull Riding Canada in Moose Jaw.
Proudly presented by Papikasi's Developments Limited.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show, brought to you in hour one in part by Outlaw Communications. Tony played it, said in Danny Barrett's voice, where creativity is a way of life, specializing in strategic communications, leadership training, and clear conversational content that motivates your audience. Listen, it lit a fire here. Scruffy's with us. You're going to see him in a second. When I just mentioned Sergei Bobrovsky, everybody shot right up out of their chair. John Ohm says, no guarantee Rod Hellebuck in net in the playoffs is suspect. I believe he said that. Troy in Toronto, Ted in Red Deer says, if they can't sign Bob before the deadline, they'll have to trade him. They can't lose that asset for nothing, in my opinion. He's not going anywhere. He's going to sign here in July anyways. So just hang on that. And Troy in Toronto says, yes, Rod, there is hockey, but I'm a Leafs fan. The season is already over for me. I tried to switch teams, but I've come to accept I don't care about all the other teams. I bleed blue. Well, listen, that sucks, but we still got to do a show. So for the Leafs fans that have given up on the season, I don't know what to tell you. So I'll say this
sounds
again.
Sounds like Rider fans. I don't
know.
care about the CFL, but what are the Riders doing?
It's fans. But it's like, unfortunately, we don't do the show for you. We do it for us and everybody. So I'm sorry to tell you.
How dare you?
Thing. I know. It's very hard to believe. And that's why,
you are so selfish.
The poll question today, are you footballed out? This guy wrote in, no, never. We got the UFL starting up. Okay, well, can you at least accept that maybe some people are? Can you consider that on your radar? So anyways, and they can't, by the way. That's the problem. That, by the way, is the major problem. But anyways, I'm just going to walk this back for a second because I went and looked at the TSN trade bait and the best goalie. When's the last time you looked at that, by the way? I know everybody's all horny about the Olympics. We can talk about that tomorrow. But like when the Olympics are over, well, the playoffs are basically going to start, Mitch, when they pick up after the Olympic break. You know that, right? And for the teams for the teams that are going to eventually miss the playoffs, this is their playoffs. And here in Florida, they actually care. I put a poll up on our Cats and Bolts Instagram. I said, what should the Panthers do ahead of the deadline? Add, sell, or nothing? And running away with it, the responses are add or nothing. because they don't want to see them sell. But I'm like, guys, let's get realistic here for a second. You might miss the playoffs. If the playoffs start today, you're not in them. So the top goalie on the list is Jordan.
But I will just throw this back at you if you're the Florida Panthers. You started this season without Matthew Tkachuk. You started this season without Alexander Barkov. You, for the last 3 years, have played to the Stanley Cup final, winning 2, losing 1. Fatigue has finally set in. You could end up with a top 10 draft pick, and you can come to camp next year with Reinhart, Bennett, Ekblad, Bob, a healthy Tkachuk, a healthy Barkov. They'll be more rested than what they've been the last couple of years. The Florida Panthers will be back in the Eastern Conference hunt next year. So don't get stupid and trade away guys that could be very important pieces to your team next year that have been important pieces to your team the last few years.
Well, I don't know how every other team's built. I got an idea because it's changed, just like everything's changed. Here, there's a core group, and Bob's in it, and you just named them, and it's by name: Sam Bennett, Verhaeghe, Ekblad. You just named all those. Then there's the bit pieces, the Nate Schmitz, the Jeff Petries, the window dressings. You know what I mean? So all I'm saying is, do you actually think Bill Zito hasn't at least thought about it?
Yeah, but what are you going to get back for, and this is not a shot at some of the guys you just mentioned, but you're not going to get any big name for Nate Schmidt or Jeff Petrie, are you? Unless you're the Leafs, who gave up a first-round draft pick in Fraser Minton for Brandon Carlo.
Right. What you've just done, and I thank you all for being my guinea pig. I'm not going to bring this up on Cats and Bolts because it's going to piss a lot of people off. I'm just, they are already getting mad, and our viewers. Pardon me?
But that'll make them watch.
Well, I don't want to make the Panthers mad. And the one thing about here is I think you can see it from the outside. The culture is unbelievable. So it's not like they look at Bob and go, he's just a player. We'll trade him and we'll get a second-round pick back and make him go play in the playoffs and wear himself out. He's just going to sign back here anyways in July, which is exactly what's going to happen. I'm just saying I think that they might have thought about it. And Ted in Red Deer writes that he says the salary cap applies in the playoffs for the first time. Be interesting to see how that affects the trades. It's affecting them. No, it's a good point. It's affecting them, but you're seeing salary retention in a lot of cases. The Flames are keeping half of Rasmus Anderson's contract. I don't think it changes a whole lot. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says Hellebuck in the playoffs will be non-existent in 2026. Right, that we're not going to have to worry about that. And back to what we were saying, and this Troy in Toronto is a great guy. I met him. He came out when we did our live show in Burlington at Joe Dogs this summer because I don't understand how you don't love Buck Martinez as an announcer. I find him very engaging, entertaining, and educational. I wish him all well in retirement and his cancer battle. God bless him. Because he doesn't care for him. That should be good enough. But do you want to explain, Mitch? I assume it's his voice because he's got a very distinctive voice.
We haven't got enough time. We just haven't got enough time.
Right.
By the way, I want to throw something at you since I'm not going to be on until Monday.
Sure.
When Canada takes the ice on Thursday against the Czechs, who's in the crease? Is it Bennington, Thompson, or Kemper in your mind?
Bennington. Come on. Have we not figured out yet how John Cooper rolls? He goes with his people.
That would be my guess, but
No, it's Bennington. You want to make it better?
Logan Thompson? But you're right. John Cooper will go with Bennington because John Cooper has basically said, if I could have everybody back from the Four Nations, I would. And he basically does. Bennington was in the net, and I expect him to be in the net.
I've had a front row seat for how John Cooper does things for the last 5 years. Okay? Yeah. You want to know why he wins and why he's coaching Canada and all these international competitions? Because he sticks with his people. Bennington struggled at times in the Four Nations face-off. There was never any doubt that he was going to start the gold medal game. And he'll be in net Thursday. And if you want to make a bet on it, I'm more than happy to do that. I feel like I had a point for you, and now I don't remember what it is. Any last words from you?
6.8 million Canadians watched the Super Bowl. They had a huge increase in streaming. More Canadians watched the Super Bowl than the Grey Cup, which included the Saskatchewan Roughriders appearance. That is the case every year. Discuss, numpties.
Oh, you want to drop a stink bomb and then leave? Is that what you're trying to do here, Mitch?
There's no doubt what league is more popular in this country, Rod.
There's today's meme.
And it has shown again.
Well, the CFL announcing yesterday they're going to announce the Coach of the Year in March at some newfangled event that they're doing in Edmonton. Part of the reason I don't talk about it more is I don't want to be negative. Okay?
I hear you.
I mean, networks, leagues, they're all doing, it's a different time, and CFL is just one of the many. And I don't agree with a lot of what they're doing. So I don't want to sit here and bash them every day. Like the Bad Bunny thing, I said this yesterday. I think you were with me on the air when I said it. I said, when Roger Goodell hugged him as soon as he got off the stage, I'm like, okay, we're good. Okay. If Goodell's happy, we should all be happy. This is very clear to me what they want. And that's why I asked you, do you see them having teams in Europe? Because there is very clearly a plan. Do you think Roger Goodell...
If there are teams in Europe, Rod, then I'll ask you this. What will the NFL universe say when Roger Goodell says that we're having a Super Bowl in London or Madrid or Munich? You going to get up at 8 in the morning to watch the Super Bowl, America? No, you're not.
Well, see, I would have thought you would have said that they would have teams in Europe. I'm fascinated. Brother, I could have spent 2 hours with you on that. Unfortunately, you got to go. Maybe if you have time, we'll bring you back later in the week. But thank you, Mitch. You've set off a lot of stink bombs here today.
Have a great one, Rod.
Mitchell Scruffy Blair. You talk about elbows up. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It has been a high-octane program today. I think you all would agree. We had to chuck somebody out. This new viewer, Braden, came in and started bitching about our topics, bitching about the host, bitching about our appearance. We're like, get out. Producer Corey blocked him. We're not here for that today or any day for that matter. I feel sorry for the kid. He's clearly troubled. Can I pause for the cause for a second and tell you today's junior hockey report, which is brought to you by the Mad Greek Eatery, tells you this. The Western Hockey League announced that Edmonton Oil Kings defenseman Carter Sotheran has been named the WHL Player of the Week. The 20-year-old from Sanford, Manitoba, pulled out an impressive 7 points and a +5 rating in 2 games to help the Oil Kings extend their winning streak to 3 games, and Kamloops Blazers netminder Logan Edmondstone has been named goaltender of the week for the week ending Sunday, February 8th. The 18-year-old from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, went 2-1 on the road with a 1.32 goals against average, a 957 save percentage, and 1 shutty. The Junior Hockey Report, we do it every single day here for the Mad Greek Eatery in Moose Jaw. Are you craving the famous Greek ribs everybody in Moose Jaw's talking about? Get yours today at the Mad Greek Eatery. Dine in, pick up, or order online. Warriors are home tonight. Who they playing? Doesn't matter. Just go stop in at the Mad Greek ahead of the game and tell Johnny the Mad Greek that we sent you. Okay. Rob writes in. He's watching in the Queen City. He says, Scruffy cracks me up. I don't have enough time to say how much I dislike Buck. At least he's honest. My love for Buck Martinez, I feel like balances out Scruffy's dislike for Buck Martinez. Whatever, Scruffy. Again, at least he's honest. Because, we used to sit around for hours in the newsroom in our past jobs, and he would imitate Buck Martinez. Wow, Tabby! And trash him, because I would have the game on. It is what it is. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in and says, good morning, Rod, Scruffy, and Squad. Some people just love to be contrarians and complain about everything and anything. Right. What I'm saying is they don't have a place in this world. We're not going to let them. Okay? So you don't have to agree with us. It's fine. Just get out. Because we're not going to sit here and fight every day. That's not what... I know the other shows do that, but we don't do that. Laverne is watching in the Frontier City. He says, hey, Leaf fans, quit whining. The Buffalo Sabres are close to Toronto. Go cheer for them. Well, see, by the way, that's the other thing. I mean, Troy in Toronto's an unreal guy. As I said, I met him. We're brothers in a lot of ways. But he's like, my season's over. I'm a Leaf fan. I'm like, well, what do you want us to do then? What would you like us to talk about? God knows there's enough Leaf talk in Toronto, which, by the way, thank God I think differently than everybody else. That's a good thing. Because when we were looking at the analytics the other day of this show and the fact that 50% of our podcast downloads, which is after the live show, are from Toronto, we had staff saying, oh, we got to talk more Leafs. No, we don't. They're downloading our podcast because they're sick of the Leafs. That's why. That's got to be why. And also looking for CFL coverage. But I mean, this is not the CFL's fault in any way, shape, or form. But their pre-tampering rules ruined free agency. It's just not exciting. If you're going to sit here, because again, I tried. I went to 3downnation.com, clicked on the thing about their preview, and the two biggest names are McLeod, Bethel Thompson, and Dominic Rhymes. I'm like, that's not something I can do 2 hours on. I'm sorry. By the way, Ryan in upstate New York, thank you. He's talking about he's asking about our guest coming up in hour 2, Bob Wilkie. He says, is Bob Wilkie the same Bob Wilkie who won the Calder Cup with the Adirondack Red Wings in 1992? I have one of his game sticks. It's the same guy. And I want to tell you something just so you know. Bob Wilkie searched me out. He and his people. He's got a mental health support and recovery company in Calgary that he works with teams, sports, business. Does the same thing I do, but I work with individual athletes, entertainers, and military. He's doing it with business people and young hockey players in trauma recovery, addiction recovery, and all that. Same guy. And he had asked to get on the show, and I was sort of like, what are we going to... 5 minutes, we have 5-minute segments or 20-minute segments. And I'm like, I don't think 5 minutes is long enough. And 20 minutes might be too long. Why don't you call me? So Bob and I talked, and then we talked for over an hour. I said, this won't be a problem. I said, you come on after Super Bowl, and we'll talk NHL. He played for Detroit and Philadelphia. And then the Swift Current Broncos. He was a survivor of the Swift Current Broncos bus crash, which 4 young men were killed in the 80s. And he was one of those phone calls where we connected immediately. I'd never met Bob. Frankly, I didn't even know where he got my number. And we got to the heart of the matter real quick because he knew as a Western Canadian hockey guy that I am, I would know his story, which I knew his story. But I didn't really know what happened after he left Swift Current, just kind of watched him from afar. He filled me in. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, people are going to want to hear this. And like anybody that's been through crap, I mean, everybody in life, there's no life that hasn't had pain. There's not one. We've all been through something. But there are levels. And Bob's been through some really, really deep stuff. So anyways, you're going to maybe, and then the thing is you can either let it kill you and spiritually and emotionally and get bitter for the rest of your life, or turn it around, turn it into a positive and help people. And that's what Bob's doing. And hopefully it helps some people when he joins us next hour, and we'll have a good hockey talk too. Brenton, I apologize. Brenton, I think he's in Saskatoon. Writes in, he's asked multiple times, do you think the hit on Poulin was dirty? I haven't seen it, bro. I haven't seen it. So you can stop asking. I don't even know. I'll be watching women's hockey for the first time this afternoon, when Canada takes on the USA. Don't ask me what the highlights of the other hits. I didn't see it. Oh, the conversation with Mitch, and believe me, I can see why all the other shows in America especially, but a lot in Canada, well, mostly America, talk just football and NFL year round, because you can. Because I'm kind of sitting there with the Bad Bunny halftime act, and I'll say it again. I mean, what did I say yesterday? I'm not anti anything. So I'm going to sit back and watch this show, and I enjoyed it. I did. I didn't know what he was singing or saying, but it was entertaining. Can we all agree that it was entertaining? And then the second he got off the stage, went under the tunnel, Roger Goodell came up and gave him a big hug. I'm like, okay, I see. The commissioner's behind this. There's a plan. Okay, it was not God bless America, Willie Nelson, the stuff that we've been used to over the years. This is, I know this Puerto Rico is considered under U.S. rule. I get all that. But this is bigger than that. This is outside America's borders. They're trying to do something here. And when I saw Goodell embrace Bad Bunny, I'm like, there's a movement. I don't really know what it is. So that's why I said to Mitch, could you envision a day where there are teams in Europe or anywhere outside of America? And he said no. I thought he was going to say yes, because I do think that's where we're going. I really do. And I felt like I have written down here, how would it work? Mitch threw water on it immediately. And that's why the shows with me and him are so engaging, because we don't really agree on much, yet our discussions are interesting at least. And as Mitch said, are you going to watch a Super Bowl from London or Madrid? I don't know. Probably not. Probably not. As he said, in our lifetime, probably not going to happen. And then will it happen after we die? Yeah, but we'll be gone, so who cares? Scott in Vancouver writes in about the kid that we threw out, Braden. He goes, I'm curious if that was Braden's first time as a viewer. He might have been a shill. Doesn't matter. I've moved on. You should too. He won't be back. Sports update for the Ultimate Fan Zone. In her first public statement since Sunday's devastating crash, Lindsey Vonn said she has no regrets about racing on her torn ACL, which had, quote, nothing to do with my crash, unquote. Regardless, her father hopes she never races again. That's one headline. I threw this one in just because number 9 Kansas handed top-ranked Arizona their first loss of the season, rallying in the second half for an 82-78 victory at home that marked the Jayhawks' first win over a number 1 team since 2003. Yeah, I can't see myself ever getting into college basketball. And I'll say this, I said to Jersey Jim one of the last times he was down, I said, what's more popular in the States? College basketball or NHL hockey? And he's like, college basketball by a mile. I'm like, okay, now I see why our numbers are growing in the States. We're doing stuff that nobody else is. I'm never going to get into college basketball. Sorry. Another thing that makes me go, 4 players and Charlotte's head coach were ejected in the second half of the Detroit Pistons' win over the Charlotte Hornets after a heated exchange following a shooting foul led to an all-out brawl last night. Here's a question that we're going to have to answer or address in hour 2. Why is it that fighting and brawls in basketball are so demonized, yet in hockey it's largely celebrated? And it's not like we have brawls every game like we used to. Wish we did. But even the Tampa Bay, Florida thing the other night was, to me, not a whole lot different than what went on in the NBA last night. Why is it so frowned upon in the NBA, yet somewhat celebrated in the NHL? I'm glad that it is. They did a whole Netflix documentary on the battle Malice at the Palace in Michigan. Imagine if we did Netflix series for every brawl in hockey. There's not enough. Netflix ain't big enough. Anyways, the sports update is for Ultimate Fan Zone. Your team, your colors, your gear, get it all at Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store or online at ultimatefanzone.ca. Bob Wilkie and a lot more fun coming up after this break here on the Game Plus TV network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Okay. Oh, boy. We're coming in hot into the RP show, welcoming viewers across Nevada, the Silver State, on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. And, of course, continuing a welcome to our viewers across Canada on Game Plus TV, which is anchored in Tirana and airs in 33 U.S. states. Yeah, we're coming in hot because we inadvertently started a couple of holy wars today. We had to throw people out. Yeah, it's not something I wanted to do. It hurt me more than it hurt him, but it is what it is. Welcome. And coming up in our interview segment today, Bob Wilkie is going to be with us, NHL alum, Philadelphia and Detroit, Western Hockey League alum with Swift Current, and he's got a story to tell. We'll get to that in the next segment with Bob Wilkie, other than to say he's a survivor of the Swift Current Broncos bus crash where 4 Broncos lost their lives in the 1980s, 40 years ago. This is the 40-year anniversary. And he is part of a documentary entitled Sideways, which chronicles that. And the whole idea is to help those that are recovering from traumatic incidences in their lives, not to mention mental health and addiction recovery as well. So we're going to talk some hockey and tell some stories with Bob Wilkie coming up in the next segment. Well, let's just get to the quick six. Oh, man, we don't have enough time. Okay. The big story in my world. This is what I really loathe about when the Super Bowl football season ends, because all the football fans are lost because we all love it, but then all of it's over for 6 months, and now everybody gets into something different. Okay, football unites us, right? And for me and a lot of our viewers, hockey does too, but that's not everybody, right? Because there's other things going on. But I will say this, number one for me, the two superpowers of women's hockey square off in a group stage game at the Italy Olympics today. Defending champion Canada takes on 3-0 USA in what's expected to be a preview of the gold medal game. I'm not going to belabor it anymore, other than to say by the time this airs in Nevada, the game will be over. Number two, we addressed this an hour ago with Scruffy, and way more people in Canada care. This is women's hockey than anybody in America, period. So that's it. All I will say is this. So a very interesting stat to me from the yahoo.com daily email that I get. They do a great job. I want to say bravo, Yahoo. Yahoo, for your daily newsletter that you send out. And it said the last three Olympics, summer and winter, the ratings went all went down. And they said a variety of reasons. COVID, political reasons. They were in countries with history of human rights atrocities. I don't care about that. But I know some people do. I'm not insensitive to it. But they said the ratings are up this year. And I kind of wonder why, because I've watched less Olympics, because Super Bowl was on. I was listening to Florio this morning on NBC Sports Radio. He's like, did you guys know the Olympics are on? He just got back from Super Bowl. Which, by the way, is a whole other thing. I said we're not going to have enough time here. I'm actually going to roll into point 2, Super Bowl leftovers. Where do we go from there, caller? Other than to say this, I've been listening to all these sports talk hosts. Vancouver, Eric, I've discovered there are now 6 all-sports radio stations in my listening radio here region in South Florida. You know, I bought a new car. It's got a far better antenna in it than my Jeep, which I still have. I'm pulling in all these radio stations. I feel like Aaron Tippin. There ain't nothing wrong with a radio in this car I bought. But all the hosts were bitching about Super Bowl and how far it was to drive and how it wasn't that much fun. I'm like, oh, my God. Can we stop bitching? But that's where we're at. So I didn't get to this last hour with Scruffy, but I'm going to hear now. Point 2, Super Bowl leftovers. Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime performance has led to a massive surge in global listening. Apple Music reports that Bad Bunny's show playlist became the most played set list on the platform shortly after the Super Bowl Sunday night. On Monday, Bad Bunny dominated the Apple Music Daily Top 100 Global Chart with 23 songs, including 9 in the top 25. So I'm kind of sitting back just thinking about things because I am a thinker, trying not to overthink. But I'm like, where are they going with this? I've said it multiple times. Bad Bunny got off the stage. And sure, you know, half the crowd's going to, the audience anyways, whether it's in the stadium, which there were people complaining in the stadium, and the television audience around the world complaining about Bad Bunny and the choice of him in the first place and the fact he didn't sing in English and la-di-da-di-da. But here's Roger Goodell, the commissioner, hugging him as soon as he got off the stage. I'm like, that's all I need to know because I've been around. I've been in these places. There's an agenda here. And I wonder what it is. Because if Roger Goodell's happy, and don't think he didn't know that there wasn't going to be any English sang at the halftime Super Bowl act, he's the commissioner. He'd know. He didn't have a problem with it. So if he doesn't, we shouldn't. So I go further to say, so they're expanding outside of America, let's say the continent, okay? And why? And I said to Scruffy last hour, do you see them having teams outside of America? Let's just say Europe, because they've been there a lot with their global games, and now they're going into France, going back to Brazil, going to Australia for the first time. Because I do think we will see that in our lifetime. And I wanted to take it a little further and say to Scruffy last hour, how would it work? But he threw water on it immediately. He's like, no, they won't do that because they won't be playing Super Bowls outside of America. There's nothing saying that they have to. But there is a plan here, and I'd like to know what it is. And it's a lot more fun talking about that than other conspiracy theories. This is a fun one. I knew Eric in Vancouver, Red City, because I feel like I'm living in Siberia with one hockey radio channel. I know how you feel. It's quite nice. And yeah, there's not a lot of pressure involved in what we do. We're not sitting here saving lives or splitting atoms every day. But but the pressure is if you're not good, click. People are out. People are bouncing fast. And if you're not talking, if I don't like what I see you talking about, I'm gone. On the radio this morning in Miami here, I was driving to the gym, and the Joe Rose, who I love, was talking about, had a guest on talking about the NFL draft. I'm like, psst, gone. Which reminds me, the poll question today is, are you footballed out? And the results are mostly no, from 57 to 62% no. We're not footballed out. But I think a lot of people are. It's brought to you by EMJ Marketing, Elite Speakers Bureau. Expert voices, impactful messages. Discover the perfect speaker, keynote speaker at emjmarketing.com. Check out their website, emjmarketing.com, for more information. But the majority is saying they are not footballed out. I'm not getting political here, but nice try, John Ohm. Nice try. You're really going for it today. I'm not biting. Good try, though, on the political vein. Brent in the Bridge City writes, and he says, like I said yesterday, can't we all just get along? Life's too short for BS. Whatever sport you like, enjoy, right? And I'll also say that here's the caveat in that. When you say, can't we all just get along, which there's been songs about that. When you have people who actually like fighting, they would prefer to fight than be calm and have peace, then you need to get out of my life. But speaking of that, as we're here, rolling along, I mean, I got more points. I told you we weren't going to have enough time, and that's fine. A fight broke out, point 3 of the Quick Six show topics. A fight broke out between the Detroit Pistons and Charlotte Hornets in the third quarter of Monday night's game, and 4 players were ejected. Charlotte's Moussa Diabate and Miles Bridges were tossed, along with Detroit's Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart. Pistons won the game 110-104. So I just casually threw this out near the end of hour 1. I said, why is fighting in basketball so demonized to the point that I'm going to nail these guys to the wall? And there was a Netflix series on it, Malice at the Palace. I remember watching that game live in the 90s. But in hockey, nobody demonizes it. There was like one fine handed out from the Tampa Bay, Florida brawl last week in Tampa Bay. One fine. Despite all the chicanery that went on, including Matthew Tkachuk clocking Nikita Kucherov from behind, which everybody saw on video. Nobody cared. It's hockey. Celebrated. Not in basketball. Oh, my God. It's leading off all the newscasts. So Carlos in Indiana writes in and he says, that's something I've wondered for the longest time. I think I've asked that outright during a hockey fight discussion on this show. I don't know the answer to it. We would ask the basketball people that, I guess. Oh, the viewers are bringing some really good stuff here. On the commissioner, Vancouver Eric writes and he says, isn't it Goodell's job to increase the value of franchises for the owners? International is necessary. Sure, absolutely. That's why he survived so long and he's been so good at it. I mean, their revenues get higher every single year. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they need to put the teams there. And where are they going with this? That's all. I'm just interested to see where it's going. And by the way, on the halftime act, to the text line we go, 902-518-3033, which is brought to you by Western Dodge. Are you looking to trade up? Western Dodge makes it easy with top dollar trade-ins and unbeatable deals. Phew. Darcy in Grand Prairie, Alberta, writes in and he says, I will never like the Super Bowl halftime show until it's George Strait. Well, I'll tell you something about that, Darcy from Grand Prairie. You probably know because you've been watching this show for a long time, but for those that are new, I've been in the George Strait fan club since I was 12 years old. It's a long time ago. And if it ain't happened yet, it's not happening now. George Strait, born May 18th, 1952. I might be a little bit of a stalker. I get it, but you're going to be disappointed. The ship sailed on that long ago. I would have loved to have had a Super Bowl with George Strait. I just don't think it's happening now. All kinds of great comments coming in from the viewers, and I appreciate it. Scott in Vancouver writes that he says, I saw some post-analysis on that halftime show, and Bad Bunny is apparently world-renowned with younger generations. Oh, I know, right? Who knew? That's the one thing that we all need to get through our heads. Just because he's not on our Apple Music device doesn't mean they don't exist. 1:11 Eastern. Thank you, Carlos in Indiana. 11:11 Mountain for those that observe. Think of a positive outcome and then work towards that. Give it a try. Oh, John Ohm. I don't really know where. Oh, okay. He says he's not looking to fight when he brought up the political thing and the president of the USA. John just says, I'm not a fighter. I like that the show gives me confidence in speaking my mind. That's totally fine. But when it comes to the politics, I've realized I actually learned it during COVID, which I think, John, you were watching this show at that time. That's a no-win thing. COVID was like the breaking point for a lot of things. People lost their humor then. April Fool's jokes died then. And I could take a side on things, but when I start losing followers, losing viewers, upsetting government, no matter who is in rule of the day, that ain't good for me. Not in what I do. So I'm going to keep it fun here, and that's why we don't dabble in politics at all, to the point that I don't even mention the political leaders' names anymore. By the way, so point 4 of the quick six, which we're all over the map here, but that's okay. It's kind of what I wanted. Point 4 was NHL/Olympic hockey, and I want to thank our viewers from hour 1 because I dropped a little test balloon there on the upcoming NHL trade deadline, because once the Olympics are over, like, I'm not as excited, although I feel like I will once the men's hockey drops the puck, USA playing Wednesday, Canada playing Thursday. But I probably will get a lot more excited. Today, I'm not frothing at the mouth on it. I mean, I got to do an Olympic episode of the Cats and Bolts podcast on Wednesday with my guy Trevor Harris from WQAM Miami Radio. And I was just sitting there thinking, Florida Panthers are dangling by a thread for a variety of reasons in the standings. Largely, number one is injuries, there's no doubt. And I'm thinking, because their GM is so forward-thinking, Bill Zito, very similar to Vegas's guy, which, by the way, Vegas missed the playoffs when Mark Stone and William Karlsson were injured all year. So it happens due to injuries. It's fine. Nobody gets fired. But at some point, you need to fold up the flag and go, this ain't our year. And in the case of the Florida Panthers, you got Sergei Bobrovsky sitting there. He hasn't signed yet. He's at $10 million a year. He's an unrestricted free agent, pending free agent. What if we traded Bob, knowing he loves it here anyways? He's told anybody who asks that, on a rental somewhere, knowing he's going to come back and sign July 1st. Our viewers got upset by that notion. I'm not even going to bring that up. I was going to post polls on this on my Cats and Bolts podcast social media channels. I'm not even going to touch it, because he is he's an icon here now. Because here it matters whether you win or not. It matters. Now it does. Never used to, but once you win, it really matters. Sergei Bobrovsky, 2-time Stanley Cup champion. They love him here. They love Paul Maurice too. The mere mention of trading Sergei Bobrovsky away, even though it would probably might be a good hockey trade. How dare you? I don't need to be lighting those fires. Know what I'm saying? Those days are behind me. But we'll continue the hockey talk and a lot of, believe it or not, far more important things when we come back with NHL WHL alum, Detroit, Philadelphia, Swift Current Broncos, Bob Wilkie will join us right after this. We're across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, and of course across Canada and 33 states on Game Plus TV.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show across Nevada on the Silver State Sports Entertainment Network and across Canada on Game Plus TV in 33 states. Bob Wilkie from Calgary, Alberta. There he is. Hang on, Bob. I'm going to read not all of your resume because we only got 2 hours. But he played junior with the Calgary Wranglers, Swift Current Broncos, drafted by Detroit, round 2 of the 1987 draft, played with the Wings, Adirondack, Fort Wayne, Hershey, with the Philly Flyers, 93-94. And then you're like Hank Snow, man. I've been everywhere. Hershey, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Las Vegas, Fresno, Pensacola, Fresno, Anchorage, York. And he joins us today from Calgary. How you doing, Bob?
Yeah, things are great, Rod. It's always funny to hear the resume. I had a reporter one time said it was like a Johnny Cash song. So I wanted to see the world, and I was able to do that.
Yeah, and survived it, just like the Swift Current crash from 1986. 4 of your teammates weren't as lucky, and you're part of the documentary Sideways, which came out here this winter. And we've actually got viewers that have written in from Swift Current with some very encouraging messages. You kind of, before we get to that, because it's going to get deep, let's just have another hockey chat for a sec. With men's hockey about to drop the puck over in Italy, what's your excitement level on 1 to 10? As a guy that's played in both countries and has ties to Canada, U.S.
Yeah, probably a 3. It's just not what it used to be. It's not what it used to be, Rod. Like it was, I think the hockey landscape has changed so much. It's become, like you were talking about earlier, so political. It's just kind of soured me to it. I don't put a lot of effort into making sure that I'm watching these games like I used to.
Yeah, well, some of that comes with age, and then there's things that we do with life outside hockey that you and I both understand. It ain't the end of the world, but I do appreciate those that think that it is. Like the snub talk that was going on when you played, man, with the World Junior teams and then the Olympic. That's people just can't get enough of that. And I'm at a point now where I'm like, can we just stop picking apart the rosters and play? We'll see how our teams do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's the best part about it, right? Let's just play the game. Let's stop talking about all these different scenarios, what could, what should. Let's just play and see what happens. I think they analyze it to death. I think there's so many people out there talking about things that they really have no idea talking about. And I mean, that's why we play the game.
Man, are you speaking my language? I mean, to be honest, you and I, the last time we talked, which was an awesome phone call, by the way, I appreciated that. I appreciated the fact that you knew that when you called me, I would know your story because I watched you play in Swift Current and followed through the whole thing. But I never really knew what went on afterwards, and we're going to get into that. But I've had pro athletes now say to me, I could never play today with what you just said. Everybody talking like they know something, which they don't. It's hard, eh? It's hard on these athletes now, and probably coaches too.
Do a lot of work with young athletes, Rod, and they really struggle just with the social media. Everything's out there all the time, and they don't get any respite from it. It's constant, and we see that their anxiety levels have significantly increased in the young athletes of today because of all the social pressure.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm gonna because you know enough about this show now. It's very interactive. I'm going to ask you one hockey question from the audience, and then we'll get into your story, and hopefully it helps some people today. But John in Edmonton writes in, and he says, should the Oilers get a new head coach? Bob, I spent a lot of time in Calgary, and the hockey talk I love, but you can't get away from it in Alberta. It's great, but it's horrible. So how would you answer John in Edmonton's question about that? And Chris Knobloch.
Yeah, it's such a tough position, right? It really is a thankless position, taking a head coaching job, knowing that you're going to be fired one day. It's not a great feeling. And I think just the over-analyzing makes it that much more difficult for these guys to try and do their job. The athletes are different today. They have way more say than they've ever had. I think that the Oilers have historically shown that there's issues within their culture and their leadership. And it seems like they've got things going the right way, reaching the finals for the last 2 years. And I don't necessarily think that it's his issue. I think that there's more internal where the players have to look at themselves.
Well, I think that would be a very tough place to coach hockey. I think it would be a very tough place to play hockey. I don't think there's any doubt. And I will say this, because I haven't talked to you since our phone call that day. I appreciate you opening up with the things that you said. And I know I can tell that you're an open book, like the Swift Current crash. And again, for instance, one of the texts has come in here from Laverne and Swift. He goes, since the accident, Swift Current resident Bill Lee took it upon himself to help the city remember the 4 players. Shout out to Billy Lee. I'm sure Bob would agree with me. I didn't even get out of my mouth and you're nodding your head. So there's the shout out for Bill Lee. Yeah, go ahead.
And Billy was such a pillar in the community back then when we were going through things. He was I remember so many times going to the greenhouse, having coffee and just talking about things. He was such a valuable member of us being able to continue to move forward. And what he did with that monument, if you haven't seen it, please stop by when you're traveling the Highway 1 there. It really is an awesome tribute to the boys, and Billy did a great job.
Philadelphia, Detroit, Swift Current alum Bob Wilkie joining us. And part of, in that call, like I mentioned, you survived the bus crash. So you're a man who's been through the fire, and not just that. You talked about accepting that job in Alaska coaching, being fired from that job, and then having to humble yourself and walk back through those doors and play for the team. Like that's, I often say we've all been through stuff, but there are levels of stuff. You've been through a lot, man. And I guess with your company, I Got Mind, instead of getting bitter about it, you're helping others. And that's what impresses me the most. So the floor is yours on that.
There came a point, Rod, where what I was doing wasn't working. And, I found myself in all these different places, like you read out my resume. And it would be great for a little while, but then eventually I showed up. And what I started to realize was it wasn't necessarily that they were unfair, or mistreating or anything. It was ultimately my behavior that caused them to make those decisions. And it was a hard day. And going through that process of really recognizing why I had developed all these patterns led back to even before the Swift Current accident. It's a difficult road to travel when you decide that you want to be a professional athlete. There's so much that goes into it that people don't understand, that causes a bunch of issues. And not communicating, telling everybody I was fine, putting on a different face, was a pattern I started to develop at an early age. And then after the accident in Swift Current, the mask was hard to take off. It was something that was just permanently there. And that made life really difficult for a long, long time.
I'm trying to remember, because I work in the industry of recovery. Did you say you had a rock bottom, or did you say you had multiple rock bottoms? I feel like you said you had multiple rock bottoms.
Yeah, I've had multiple, unfortunately. You think you kind of get it all together and moving in a direction, and then the old patterns start to take over because you're really treading in uncharted territory. I didn't know how to navigate it. And being a male, coming from a male-dominated, very macho sport, just never developed those abilities to trust people enough to raise my hand and say, okay, I'm really struggling. I'm in a bad spot, because what I had been shown was when you did that, people kind of pushed you away or moved you on to somebody else's problem. So it was really hard. And finding myself in those bottoms again, it's like, what the hell is going on? And why can't I figure this out? And it wasn't until I really started looking at the right people. I think that was the difference for me, is going to people outside of my network that had a lot more capabilities of really giving me the information I needed to move forward.
So where were you and when you made that realization?
26 years old, heavily contemplating taking my life, tired of pretending, and new husband at that point, and the last thing I wanted to do was ruin the thing that was saving me and making me feel good. And I knew that I needed to start doing things differently. So, picking up a different book, reading The Scientific Mind instead of Sports Illustrated, becoming very curious about how I was going to find a new way to live, I think really was the starting point for me, is that I didn't want to lose what I finally had in my life. And that was that love and companionship. And I knew that I needed to be better. And that started my journey.
NHL, WHL, and a few other leagues alum Bob Wilkie is with us. So we'll get back to on-ice stuff in a second. Because I'm fascinated by this stuff. I'd rather talk about this. It's just not as glitzy as the lights of the pro sports. But you said that, you were just on your way up to talk to a junior team the last time we talked. I won't say which one, in the AJ. What's it like when you're in that room with the young men? Because I do it here in Florida with the kids, and these kids get banged on now for being soft and this, but you can tell who's listening, can't you? Right? What's the reaction you get when you go in there and tell them your story and that you can help?
It's awesome. One of the most rewarding things that I've ever found in my life is to be able to sit in a room of these young men who have these big dreams and goals, and really explain to them how they work and why they're challenged in these different areas. And most importantly, provide different ideas of how they can get past that, and then see them do it, Rod. That's the most fulfilling part, is that I've earned the credibility for them to respect me enough to listen, and then learning how to present the ideas in a way that opens their minds where they actually want to do it. And it's not an easy thing to do, especially in the world today for these young people. There's so many different opinions and so many different people talking to them. It can be quite confusing. So it really is rewarding to know that all of the struggles that I've had in my life can be used to help them change the direction that they're headed.
Bob Wilkie's company, by the way, is I Got Mine, and we'll come back on that in a second. I don't. You see me smiling as you're talking because you say you do have the credibility. You've got the NHL beside your name. Sometimes when I get asked to go in and speak, I'm like, I'm just a broadcaster, and they're like, they don't care. Just get in there and talk to them. And they don't care. They don't care because they can somehow just tell that you've been through the fire. And the one thing is, Bob, you'll get this. All those junior hockey players, when you tell them what percentage get to the NHL, which is, it's like, I think at one time it was 3%. Now it's like 1%. When you consider 100% think they're going, that's a hell of an eye-opener for them. It's like you might want to think about, I'm not saying you You're not going, but what if you don't? Because they've never stopped to think about that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them, they're not fully understanding the scope of work that's required either. I know for me, I didn't fully understand, when they say, well, you're going to have to make sacrifices. It's like, I didn't think I'd have to make that kind of sacrifice. So, my parents didn't know. There wasn't a lot of people in our circle that could really help. So it was a real struggle. And, the reason that there's only 1% is that there's only so many jobs. And if you don't have the right skills, if you don't have the right mindset, if you don't know how to deal with adversity, if you don't know when you've been traumatized and that's what you're going through, then it's going to be that much more difficult to stay on that road, because there's everything out there testing to see if you're worthy of the success that you desire.
Well, and I get it. I got your hockey DB right up in front of me. You're sitting there going, I was a point a game. I had 85 points when the year we won the Memmer. What do you mean I got to work? What do you mean I got to go to the gym? But you found that out pretty fast, didn't you?
It was my downfall. Being in junior hockey and kind of being one of those go-to guys and playing all that I wanted, trying to make that next step. I had never not made a team, Rod. That was a big blow to me at that point, because every time in my life I had been successful making the team that I wanted. So it was a real struggle. The hockey was the best hockey. It was the easiest hockey I ever played, playing in the NHL, because everybody was so good. But to stay there, I just was not prepared for the extra work. I thought when I got there, I could just kind of settle in and enjoy life. And I wasn't prepared that I was going to have to work that much harder to get there.
Right. Well, my dad scouted in the NHL for 26 years with Dallas. He always said the work begins the day you get drafted. That's not when you put your feet up. Right. And if you don't figure that out, you will figure it out. You don't have a choice. And by the way, with the 89 thing, we all love the team. Tizzy left, scoring the winner. That was one of the greatest stories in Canadian sports. But that was just as a team. For the individuals, do you have a message today, Bob, for the viewers? We got a big imprint across the continent of anybody that suffered trauma in their life and how they can not get over it, but deal with it, however you want to say it.
Yeah, I think, the tendency I see is that we downplay things. It's not that big a deal. And it really was an eye-opener just learning about trauma and what it does to us mentally in our brains, how it does change our behavior. And you don't have to go through a traumatic event to become educated. And I think that's what we try and really reinforce with the young athletes and people. The more that we know about ourselves, the easier it is to navigate the life that we're trying to create. And ignorance is not bliss. The more that you can learn about who you are and what can potentially derail you, allows you that confidence in those times of crisis, because it's going to happen. In order to have it all, you got to risk it all. And when you're willing to take those risks, there's some things that can happen. And if you understand some things that can happen and how you're going to deal with it, that's how you're going to be successful in getting where you want to go.
Well, we have all these sayings in this recovery business, but they're sayings for a reason. Like, knowledge is power. That's not just recovery, but it's hard to learn. You can't learn to swim when you're drowning. That's all the things that you're saying here, right? Like, arm yourself. It gives yourself a chance. And maybe, because I don't know if we'll have time to come back to it, so I'm going to ask you now. Well, Troy is watching. He is in the tractor near Swift Current. Must be moving snow. He writes and he says, man, Bob Wilkie is a legend. Along with Kruger and Lambert, was best D-core in Broncos history. Stein, Troy in the trade. It was. Well, there's no two ways about that. But I Got Mind. You're not just dealing with athletes, but tell folks about your company, I Got Mind.
Yeah, it started in 2008 when I was coaching some young men in Pennsylvania. And I started to see, because I was going through my healing process, I was starting to see some of the same things happen with them. And I thought, boy, I really need to teach them some of these life lessons. And so we started going into the classroom instead of, the locker room. And we started talking about some of the things that they were challenged with in their life. And it really started to make a difference. And we were having huge success as a team. These players were able to move on. And I knew that I was on to something. And I also knew that as an entrepreneur, Pennsylvania is not the best place for an old hockey player. I needed to get back home. And so when I came back to Canada, the doors really opened to all of the possibilities. And before I knew it, there was parents sitting in the sessions. and they were teachers or business owners, and they started to say, hey, can you come and help our organization, because the principles and the foundations are the same across the board. A lot of times it's just things we don't develop in our lives. And so been able to work with businesses and schools and teachers and sports programs, just providing the education and insight to who they are, how they operate, and how they can operate optimally.
Look them up on social media, everybody. I Got Mind. I would say that's the best place to go. And by the way, it's going to bother me all night if I don't correct myself. I said Lambert. I know it's Lambert. Everybody knows that I know. Okay, Bob, keep in touch. I appreciate you having the courage to come on and share your story and keep up the great work.
Thanks, Rod. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
All right. What do we got left here, producer Corey? Okay. We're going to roll. A quick Stanley Cup final. Oh, he's gone. You gone. That's all good.
No,
Who's going to be in
I'm here.
Not for long. I think we're going to have to exit. Quick Stanley Cup pick. Do you have them?
Colorado looks good. I think with the history, the experience, I think Joe's got another winner on his hand there.
Joe, sudden death, Sakic. Very perfect ending. He's picking Colorado. Doesn't matter against who. We'll be right back. Game Plus TV and Silver State Sports Entertainment Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Well, I'll tell you what a fantastic program it's been today for a variety of reasons. Want me to tell you? We have covered a lot of ground. We started some fires, put them out, and I learned you helped me. You helped me. I did not want to start a holy war here in South Florida with a mere suggestion of the Panthers trading Sergei Bobrovsky, so I won't even bring it up. Dumb idea. I've had those. Cool. We walk it back. A sports update for the Ultimate Fan Zone. It's finally here. The chance to see Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, and Sidney Crosby team up for Canada, and Jack Eichel and Austin Matthews play on the same U.S. team at the Olympics. Snubbed by Sweden inexplicably a dozen years ago, Victor Hedman is also making his debut on this stage, along with Czechia's David Pasternak, Germany's Leon Draisaitl, and so many of the NHL's best. Players, coaches, and the hockey community at large have waited a long time for this. So I snatched that from the pages of the Associated Press, not going to lie, but I feel like Bob Wilkie is a little like me. I shouldn't speak for him, but when you just roll one day at a time, I'm like, right now, today, I'm not going all bonkers about the Olympic men's hockey, but after reading that, the USA plays their first game Wednesday afternoon. Canada plays their first game. It's Thursday. I just go one day at a time. Works for me. The alternative is not pretty. So yeah, he said he's 3 out of 10. I should ask him Thursday. How's the excitement today, Bob? Continuing on, in her first public statement since Sunday's devastating crash, Lindsey Vonn said she has no regrets about racing on her torn ACL, which had nothing to do with my crash. Regardless, her father hopes she never races again. That from the Yahoo.com daily newsletter. I find it amazing, by the way. Like, I get, if you want to complain about Bad Bunny and you want to complain about various things, Super Bowl halftime act is... your opinion's welcome on that. Not necessarily listened to, but expected. What she does with her body, certainly in a sports realm, is her business, Lindsey Vonn. How is this such a lightning rod? Other than, as somebody said earlier, people would just want to bitch. Yeah. And again, we don't listen to those. Oh, yeah. I don't know why you all want to go down the political road, but you're not going to make me do that. There's a lot of things that I will not do. You can, what does Joe Diffie say? Set me on fire and roll me down a hill. I'm not talking politics here, but good try. That's not what we do here. Colt writes in and says, let's go. USA versus Canada is about to start. He's talking about women's hockey, and that's shortly after the show goes off the air today. Our show goes off the air. That's not political. That's two countries playing on the ice. When you bring in the politics, when you bring in the politicians, that's when the fun is lost. Brent in Saskatoon writes and says, God bless Bob. Oh, I'll tell you what. You're talking about Sergei Bobrovsky, whose bobblehead adorns the set of our Cats and Bolts podcast every week. I remember what he said when they won the Stanley Cup last year. Bob goes, I want to thank God for all I have and all that I don't have. And I knew exactly what he was talking about. Do you? Back to this NBA thing. This is making headlines. 4 players and Charlotte's head coach were ejected in the second half of the Pistons' win over the Charlotte Hornets after a heated exchange following a shooting foul led to an all-out brawl in the NBA last night. I'll say it again. Why is it headline news? We have fights in hockey like that all the time. It's not, I don't get it. Major League Baseball designated hitter Marcell Ozuna is heading to the Pirates on a 1-year, $12 million deal. The Red Sox acquired third baseman Caleb Durbin in a trade with the Brewers, and the Marlins signed veteran right-handed pitcher Chris Paddock to a 1-year, $4 million deal. Again, that's what I hate about when football ends. Some people are going to get into baseball. Some going to get into hockey. Some going to get into golf. Some going to get I love football because it unites us. There's a lot of great things about that sport. And that's probably the biggest one. Overtime coming up next. Last chance to get at me. 902-518-3033 is the text line for Western Dodge. We'll be right back here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network across Nevada and across Canada, 33 states on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, welcome back, everybody, for Overtime for our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. An amusement park for hockey players. I wonder if Bob Wilkie's been there. I'll have to ask him. Where skill and fun collide. Perfect for birthday parties. Listen, you got a kid. Everybody's got a kid or a grandkid, a niece and nephew. And you don't know where to have a birthday party. You want to look like a hero. Go to Overtime Hockey Lanes and let them handle all the details. Randy and Michelle, they do cakes with your favorite team's logo on it. Trust me, I've been there. Licensed bar for the adults. Yeah. Relax and let Overtime Hockey Lanes handle all the details and make you look good. 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Yeah, we're on the air in Nevada and across Canada, but they enjoy what we talk about here, especially with the hockey. And from time to time, we bring in guests like Bob Wilkie, and Wayne is watching in Victoria. He says, what a great guest. Bob Wilkie is a very brave man to tell his story on the show. Thanks to Bob for helping others. Daryl Slade, Calgary Stampeders historian, and might I say, author. Daryl's watching on Game Plus TV in Calgary. He writes in, he says, Rod, terrific interview with Bob Wilkie. It's enlightening to see how people are able to come out of a terrible situation and go on to help others avoid the same thing. Signed, Daryl Slade, Calgary. Well, in the industry, the profession, the term is alchemy. What they're doing, what a guy like Bob is doing, is taking tragic circumstances and, like you just said, turning it, instead of getting bitter, which a lot of people do, turning it. There's no silver lining in 4 players losing their lives in the Swift Current Broncos crash, or 16 in the Humboldt Broncos crash, or the 3 young men with the Southern Alberta junior hockey. There isn't. But you got to find something. And, yeah, there's a whole lot of people sitting around bitter because of things happen in their life that wasn't their fault. Don't waste a life on something like that. So as Bob said, it doesn't even have to wait for a traumatic incident. There's ways to educate yourself. Nobody ever does until the tragedy hits, which is unfortunate, but try to make the world a better place. Colt/John has written in with several questions today, conversation starters, if you will. Clearly, we've had other things that we've been talking about today, but Colt writes in, he says, your thoughts on the Olympics medals falling off? Oh, I heard this. A lot of stories coming out of the Olympics. If this is the biggest scandal, I put it in my commentary today that runs across Sask Radio, and you can read it at rodpedersen.com. There have been no scandals yet other than the medals breaking. The ribbons coming off the medals. If that's the biggest scandal, I think we're going to be okay. It's really not that big a deal. Because I think about the Summer Olympics, the last one, Paris, and the Canadian soccer scandal, where the men's and women's coach lost their job, which they should have. That was embarrassing for Canada. So if the biggest problem we have and will have is the ribbons breaking on the Olympic medals, I think we're good. So, yeah, it's fun here talking sports every day, but there's bigger things. Like my coach, Lisa, she lives in West Palm Beach, not too far from Mar-a-Lago, okay, Donald Trump's winter home. I promised that I wouldn't bring up politicians' names, but I'll bring it up in the case of this story. I said to Lisa, I said, I understand it's a real pain in the butt when the president comes in and leaves because they shut down all the streets. So he comes in his motorcade. She's like, these are small problems. Oh, yeah, they are. Now that you say that, everybody gets all worked up. Because when he is president, you wouldn't believe how much time he's there. More than you'd think. They don't work weekends. Laverne in the Frontier City writes, he says, great show, Rod. Was sweet and spicy. See you tomorrow. Well, that's the thing. You never know what you're going to get with this show. It's like a dang box of chocolates. There's to nobody's fault. You know, I go back to, it's a lot of things are relatable, certainly through sports and broadcasting. I think that's why I get along with these guys. But when David Benefield spelled it out yesterday, I say it again, he hadn't been on the air for 20 years. 20 years it's been since he was on CBC breaking down CFL games. And yesterday I realized, I'm like, oh my God, he's so great at everything. But when he said, once you're in the game, it's really hard to make the adjustments. You've been playing this way all year. He goes, maybe a couple players you can tell them, watch out for this, but 11 guys, 12 guys, no. And I related it to this show. When we get on the air and if people are writing, you're videos freeze. The mic's not working. We know. You think the Patriots didn't know they couldn't stop the 6-man blitz on Sunday? They couldn't stop it all game. They knew. That's the one somewhat frustrating thing about sports. The fans think, The coaches saw it a long time ago. That's what they do. Thank you, Ryan, in upstate New York. Have a great day, Rod Squad. You too, Ryan. Like I say, it's very, very hard to make the changes on the fly. So whether it's life, a show, a game, some days are wins, some days are losses, and you really hope that you have more wins than losses, and that adds up to a winning outcome. Well, we're going to keep it rolling. Great guest this week, right? David Benefield, Bob Wilkie. That continues. Rich Sutter will be joining us from the famous Hockey's First Family. Rich Sutter will be with us tomorrow in hour 2. My good friend Reed Johnson's going to join us from the Markcast in Seattle on Thursday. We never did get to this UFL thing, but for the football nerds, we will a little bit with Reed, plus the Seahawks, the Kraken, everything else that's fit to print. It's been a good one. Thanks for hanging in today, everybody. We'll see y'all tomorrow here on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network and Game Plus TV.
Good.